Welcome to FFL Boss tutorial. Today we're going to be doing a full demo of the program, going through all of the main navigations and how the software functions. Over to the left here you see your main navigation. In the upper left hand corner you have your quick access menu. Up in the upper right hand corner you have your admin access menu. Your admin allows you to access your FFL locations, account settings, user settings, billing subscriptions, users, and help center. From the quick access menu you can go to Kiosk Mode or do some other quick transactions here, along with access each of your bound books. From the main navigation you can access all of the different aspects of FFL Boss. Let's start here with the dashboard. The dashboard has all of your main presentations that you will be using on a regular basis right in front of you. Each one of your bound books will be placed right here in the front. To the right of that you will see your account limitations depending on the account that you have. You have your account training if you'd like to sign up for a 2-hour block of training time for you or your team. You can do that from here. You can upload existing electronic bound books to us from here and we can get those uploaded directly to FFL Boss for you. Then lastly is the bound book menu. Each bound book menu will be specific to that location. You have the ability to modify the name of each of your bound books by clicking on View, and then you click on the little pencil that is right to the right of that and you can change the name of that bound book to whatever you'd like it to be. That can also be done through the bound book menu up in the upper right hand corner by clicking on View Bound Books and then selecting the bound book that you want to access. Just below the bound books you will see a rolling 30-day transaction history, along with that same information put into a pie chart for you. Now if we scroll down to the very bottom, we see our last 5 transactions being presented here for us. Additionally to that, we have what is called the Employee Activity Monitor. This does not record every single action that is done in the system. It records the changes that are made, significant changes that will affect the system or the business in some way, shape, or form. This allows you as an admin to see any changes that have been made and be able to know who did them at what time. Let's start with acquisitions. In order to add an acquisition, we just go to the upper right hand corner here, click on Add Acquisition. Make sure you choose the correct location, the bound book that you want it to go to, whether it is coming from a dealer or a customer. And then if you have had any kind of transaction history with that dealer or customer, they will show up in the drop-down menu right here. If not, you will simply add them to your list by clicking on this little blue button here. You can either manually add that company or FFL. If it is a military base or a police station, you'll have to manually add them. Other than that, if they do possess an FFL, you can click FFL Lookup. And you can simply either type in the name of the company, you can type in the firearms license number, or a plethora of other ways that you can look that company up also. Once you have found the company that you would like to use, you simply select that business and autofill. If there's any additional information that you'd like to gather about that company, specifically if you are doing NFA items, you would want to put in their EIN along with their type and their SOT class. Click Add Dealer, and I can't click this because I've already added this before. And then you can simply use that dealer. Once you've selected the dealer you're going to be acquiring from or the customer, you then add the item. You have a couple of different ways to do this. If you have an existing SKU list, you can look up that SKU through this. You can put in all of this information about the gun here. You can then do sequential serial number adds. Let's go ahead and type in some information here. With the caliber list, you have the ability to dynamically search for whatever it is that you might be looking for. Just begin typing what you want and it'll pull it up. What's really cool is the ability to add sequential serial numbers. This allows you to add multiple firearms in a very, very short period of time. So let's say I've been purchasing a couple of Glocks from RSR. Let's say I got 25 of them. As soon as I hit calculate, it creates every single serial number, and as long as they are sequential, you are good to go. Press save. That creates your acquisition list. Scroll down to the very bottom, make sure everything's accurate, and then finalize the acquisition. If you do not click the finalize acquisition button, it will not completely enter all of those firearms into your bound book. It will leave them in a limbo status that you would have to complete at some later point. So let's go to our bound book and take a look at the acquisition that we just did. As you can see, all of these Glock 19 4th generations have been added directly to the bound book without really a whole lot of effort on our part. Next is the pawn dashboard. The pawn dashboard is for pawn dealers specifically, and if you need to add a pawn, you can do a transaction with a pawn inventory number along with a pawn ticket number. Next is dispositions. We have a couple of different ways to do dispositions here. We can either use the kiosk mode or we can simply add a disposition. In order to add a quick disposition, this is something that you would do if you are, let's say, a gunsmith and you brought in a firearm that you're going to be keeping overnight and then returning to the customer either the next day or maybe say the day after. For those particular situations, you really do not have to do a 4473, nor do you have to do a background check. So for that reason, when that customer comes in to pick up the firearm, all you need to do is a disposition. So when that happens, we just want to click the customer that we're going to send it out to, add the item that we're going to dispose. So let's make sure we get the correct item. Add that product to the disposition and then click add disposition. The disposition is done. You also have the ability to add some notes. The very next one is the kiosk mode. Kiosk mode is really cool for the retail side. This allows for customers to come into your shop and do a 4473 in a digital format. So let's just make up some sort of a code here. You can make up whatever which one you want. You do not have to use 1234. You can make one up 4425, 4427, 1759. It doesn't matter. A 4-digit number that you use specifically for your location. Let's go ahead and lock it. As soon as we lock it, it puts it into a kiosk mode. Now once it's in kiosk mode, your customer is actually going to fill out all of this stuff right here. By putting this system into kiosk mode, you prevent the customer from being able to access any other facet of your program. Once the customer goes through here and answers each one of these questions, they will then submit this completed 4473 to you. So once I complete this, I'm actually going to change my name up here to something else. The very last thing the customer does is sign this. So with a digital signature, they've now signed their 4473. On your side, what you are going to see is something just a little bit different. It'll come in here into the pending 4473 status. The very next thing is you want to review this. Once you take a look at it, if you notice something might be wrong, you can either edit it or send it back to the kiosk. If everything looks good, go ahead and continue the 4473. Now, what I've done here is I put in the birth year of 1999. And it states this customer is under the age of 18 and may not be eligible to purchase the requested firearm. Great. We now know that this particular person is underage and should not be purchasing any firearms. That being said, what I'm going to do is go back actually and modify that. Now that we've corrected that, we should be able to do a disposition without a problem. We notice that the warning sign does not show up anymore. So now let's do a background check. You have the option to use the assisted leap if in the state that you are in, you are allowed to use leap. I'm not going to actually log in because I don't want the world seeing what my login information is. But once you have got the answer, you just click proceed, deny delay, whichever the answer is. Make sure you put in your NTN number and click save. That puts all of the background check information in here. Let's put in the identification. Just going to try to type in this stuff as fast as possible. And then we add the firearm to the list. Let's actually add a couple of firearms here. We're going to look for the Gen, there it is, Gen 4 Glock 19. Now let's complete this. This is where your employee or you will sign. So let's go ahead and sign this. Sort of. Complete the 4473. Now what it's done is it's created that 4473, and then you can print that document out. As soon as I hit the view 4473, it takes me directly to that document with signatures on it in the correct places. Everything looks great. Now I can print that out and store it. Additionally, this disposition requires an ATF form 3310.4. You click here to generate, it'll automatically generate that form, and it'll have all of the information on that form that you need. You will simply need to print this form and then send that into the correct locations, ATF, local PD. So that's for a disposition. Next is destroyed items along with lost and stolen. These are pretty self-explanatory. If you have to destroy an item, you need to be recording it. If you've lost an item or it's been stolen, you also need to record that into your bound books. The next is the NFA dashboard. We have some really cool stuff going on with NFA, and what we've done here is we allow you to set aside NFA items and reserve them for a customer or a business, because we know that the NFA process takes a little bit longer than what we would prefer. This allows you to take an item. For instance, as you can see here, I've got a list of a couple of different items, and if we want to go into here, this is, for instance, this is an SBR 6-hour MPX. We can see that I have two of them sitting on a reservation. What that means is I took those two firearms, I saved them on this reservation, and then now those items are unable to be used anywhere else in the system until I remove them from the reservation. As soon as I created that reservation, I then have the ability to generate forms 2, 3, or 4. And here I created a form 3 because I'm going to be sending these to another dealer. It creates those forms. I can then print them off and send those out to the ATF for that approval. Rentals is an additional thing that we offer. You can use this for two different things. So you can use it to rent out to customers or use it as an assignment towards your employees if they are going to be doing demos or taking any firearms outside of the shop's location. Our next tab here is products and firearms. This is going to be a comprehensive list of all of your past and present inventory. You have the ability to go to this location and search out any of your inventory on really a plethora of different criteria. So if you want to find all of your pistols, just click pistols and that'll bring up everything you've got in pistols. Let's say you want to find everything that's in stock and you want to find all of your shotguns that are in stock. Well, here's all of my shotguns that are currently in stock, and it tells me exactly which location they're at. You can look them up by manufacturer, by caliber. This is a comprehensive way to search your database of inventory. Next is the My Customers. Now these are all of the customers that have been created over the demo, the time that I've been using this demo. And additionally to that, you too, as you are building your customer list by using the Kiosk Mode, when your customers fill out the 4473 via the Kiosk Mode, you will automatically start capturing these customers. The really powerful part of this is you have the ability to go back and see exactly who your customers are and what they purchased. You can also use their phone numbers and emails to be able to market to them in the future. I would strongly recommend grabbing phone numbers along with email addresses. You can additionally start a 4473 directly from the customer list by just sending it to the kiosk or starting a 4473. Preferably, you'll send to the kiosk or the customer that can review it, make sure that it's accurate, and then send it back to you. Next is my FFL dealers. These are all of the dealers that you will have had some sort of an interaction with. Now, FFL Boss has a full comprehensive list that is kept up to date of all FFL dealers within the country, but these are the ones that you specifically have done business with in the past. As you are adding more and more dealers, we strongly recommend that you ask for and enter their email addresses into their profile as you are adding them on board. This is going to be very helpful for you in the future to be able to communicate with a dealer. Instead of having to make a phone call, you can shoot an email to them. Next is going to be the transfers to dealers. So anytime you transfer a firearm to a firearms dealer, an FFL to an FFL, we have built into this system for you to do that through transfers to FFLs. And one of the very cool things that we are going to be having here very soon is the ability to do an in-network dealer-to-dealer transfer, where if you choose a firearm and transfer it to an in-network FFL Boss user, they will simply get a notification of an incoming transfer that they can simply accept, and it will automatically populate their bound books. And as soon as you transfer it out, it comes out of your bound book and just sits in a limbo status until they accept it. Next is events and gun shows. These are very self-explanatory. If you're going to be doing any events or gun shows, we recommend that you add those into the system so that when you do those dispositions, they are done from the correct event. Lastly is the employee activity monitor, which we've already covered. This is not a comprehensive list of every single thing that is done within the system, but it is a list of all of the changes that are made within the system that you have the ability to go back, to look at, to make sure that it's accurate, and potentially even reverse those if a mistake was made. Thank you for taking a look at FFL Boss. We really hope that you enjoy the trial and stay on board and join the FFL Boss family permanently. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. It is very easy to reach us. We are available through email or even phone call. And thank you for using TAD Software, your FFL software provider.